So this was a failed experiment. This is a Hustler Zeon mower that we bought 7.2 volt, 3.2 volt, 72 amp hour Prismatic cells. There are 16 sets of 3, and you can kind of get an idea that I think they call this a hard parallel or a hard series, I can't remember. We do have a BMS mounted on it. The BMS we put back here did a really nice install, but the charger that we got for it, which is this unit right here, does not talk to the BMS board, and you have to mount that in a separate relay to get the BMS board to shut off that charger. So anyway, I just wanted to point out to everyone how difficult it is to do your own conversion to lithium. You really have to get batteries that have the BMS board already installed on the batteries, or you have to know what you're doing. So what happened on this one is we went to charge it, and this whole row went thermal, and they didn't catch fire, but they blew out, and we lost nine batteries. Yeah, so we think what happened was we put the charger on immediately after using it, and the batteries were already probably pushing their thermal limits, and when we put the charger on, we watched it, and probably within 20 minutes we've seen one of the batteries here on the outside go, and we thought that was all we lost, but in the end it took out all 9 of them in that row. So yeah, originally Hustler came out with 4 lead acid, and they work, but basically what we had in there was like having 4, or no, it'd be more like having like 12 lead acid batteries, whereas before they only had 4. This setup was like 3 times, I think it was 214 amp hour we ended up with at 40, or well, it ended up being like 51 volts or something, 52 volts. So yeah, don't try to do a lithium conversion unless you're getting the lithium batteries with the BMS already integrated from the factory or wholesaler or manufacturer, because it's difficult. Even if we would have had the BMS hooked up so that it would shut off the charger, we would have had to have had a thermal sensor, which we do have mounted on these, if I can find them, but it only comes with 3, and you know, we could have definitely gotten more, but we would have had to have had them placed somehow in the pack. We had just been shoving them in the blowout. Right underneath here is where they are supposed to vent off if they overheat. but mine just blew out the sides. I didn't notice that they had actually vented. So, and here is one of them right here. You can see that it's bulged, and I don't know that it vented out the top at all. Yeah, I don't even know if you would even know if it did without putting it underwater and seeing bubbles or something. So anyway, learned a lot. Unfortunately, learned that probably best, in hindsight, I think if we didn't put the charger on these until after they had climatized and sat for, I'd say, 2 hours, and ideally a shop or office that would be air conditioned or climatized anyway, in the somewhere around the 80-degree area, probably 60-degree area, if it's cold, but yeah, anywhere from 60 to 80 degrees, I think these would charge fine. But I think you need to let them sit for a while after heavy use before you try to charge them. And I think everything would have been okay. But yeah. So this is what not to do. And we'll be on the lookout for some, probably instead of prismatics, probably the 18650 cells that already have the BMS part of it. I know on Alibaba they have some packs that would actually fit in here pretty nice, that we could probably put 2 or 3 of them in that are 48 volt. So we could just wire them in parallel and up the amp hour on it. But this mower is awesome to mow with. If you've never mowed with electric, or with an electric chainsaw for that matter, it's just like night and day. No vibration, no noise, very little fatigue. Your hands never, you could chainsaw all day and not feel it in your hands. And the mower is just, it's enjoyable to mow with. It's a lot of fun. So it'd be nice to figure out the batteries and be a little more intelligent on them, but definitely gonna have to get educated on it if I'm gonna try to do my own BMS.